Greetings and salutations, Pokemon fans. We're back with more Pokemon content. Hell yeah. We are so ready to watch this game between GaryTheGengar and Dark Eeveon. And look who we have here, Mr. Alomomola. That's a Pokemon. And Tangro too. Tangro is a cool guy. I like him. He's a bit hard to fit, sadly, but I like Tangro. And Ditto. I am a big fan of Ditto personally, but even as a fan, I find it hard to justify. But Eeveon seems to have found a way. As for Gary, he's got a this is a bit of a weird team. Not not even that weird. It's only maybe the fortress that looks. It doesn't even look out of place. You need a spinner, and fortress also gives you spikes. Pretty nice with Heatran, and also gives you a strong Landorus-Therian switch in. Besides the Rotom, you can do some nice plays. Like, you can send the Fortress on the U-turn or Rotom on the Earthquake if you manage to play it away. And that will make the Landorus life a lot harder. There's also a Hippodon here, not that it super matters. Okay. So what's the game plan? Depending on sets, I can see a few ways this game plays out. So if this Gliscor is Swords Dance and does a move with Rotom, say Facade, it kind of 6-0s, which is pretty funny and also pretty sad. There are some caveats here. One, we don't really know the Latios set, so if it specs, it's kind of strong into this, because you may be able to, say, set up one layer of spikes and then drop a Draco with Latios, and this team doesn't really. If one spike is up, nothing switches into Draco Meteor. So if you have rocks plus one spikes, then Latios is a massive threat. There's also the possibility that it's Scarf Latios and the Terrakion is the main sweeper, say Swords Dance or Choice Band. If it's banned, it's kind of weak here because Alomomola runs Protect, so does Gliscor. You have also have a Tangrowth, which is a pretty bulky guy that can kind of wall Terrakion. And Hitran, depending on the set, it could be permanently walled by Gliscor, which and or by Ditto. Although if if Hitran permanently walls Ditto, then Ditto also is also permanently walled by Itran while the Itran is in the field. And so depending on the Itran item, that might be not optimal, because if it's leftovers Itran, say, you're just giving it free leftovers, which you never want to do, really. This guy is very annoying. Okay. Leads, you go. What do you lead with? Hippodon, I think. You could lead Fortress too. I don't hate it. In fact, it's maybe better. Okay, yeah, sure, you can lead Fortress or Hippodon. I don't think either is extremely better than the other to make a definitive case for either. There's also the option to lead Rotom Wash, but Rotom kind of mediocre. One, Gliscor really doesn't care about Rotom lead. Two, your only play is like Volt Switch slash Wisp, which, I mean, sure. You risk getting pistol already from the onset of the game, and then you're giving free ins to Tangrowth, who, if it says Stanspore, knockoff, or Leech Seed, like, if it's knockoff plus either of these two moves, it's kind of strong actually. This game, it gets a few free ins, and your your best ways of scaring it out are all hate knockoff slash Stanspore. Right, and if I'm Eeveon, what do I lead with? I will just lead Gliscor and click Protector one. If you're worried about. Actually, no, you lead Theta, right? If you're a Eeveon. Okay, so The idea behind leading Titar. Okay, this is Dark Eeveon. This is like banned Titar, I assume. Okay, so if you're banned, you're pretty strong into most of these mons, except Hippowdon and obviously Terrakion, against both of which you have a pretty strong switch-ins in Alomomola, Tangrowth, or even Gliscor to activate your Toxic Orb. If you lead into Rotom Wash, depending on EVs, you may be faster and you could even consider just attacking it or probably switch out. I think it's better, and it also scares out Fortress lead, say, or even Heatran, something that Gliscor doesn't necessarily do. And you also get Sand Up, which is quite nice. So I lead Titar if I'm Eeveon, and what did I say for Gary? I forgot. Who was Gary's lead? Fortress? Yeah, probably Fortress. Okay, it's hard to know who will win without knowing the sets. That's for sure. Because Gliscor could either be permanently walled or 6-0. And I'm expecting more of the latter. Okay, hard focus blaster 1 on the Fortress. This is Specs Tangrowth. That did so much. Because this is especially defensive, right? Lava Plume revealed the leftovers, survived the focus blast like that. So I'm going to say it's Specs and Specs Tang and special defense Vitran. And Lava Plume does not burn. Okay. Gliscor in on the Itran and it tanks a Lava Plume and what? Why? Okay. This is like the most amateurish play you could pull off in a game. Like this is the kind of play you do when you're laddering at like 1200 Hilo while watching Instagram reels and pretending to maybe study at the same time. And you're like, oh man, I'm just going to go Gliscor because I don't know, your brain just is not really in it. And so you go Gliscor, and this happens all the time on ladder. Okay, and the ladder rant, but this is not ladder, man. You cannot just toss Gliscor in like this on a Heatran with Lava Plume already revealed, mind you. And I sort of understand the thought process behind it, because Eeveon himself mentioned on Discord that he was expecting the Heatran to click Protect, which I can sort of see, or Toxic even, although I think he only mentioned Protect, and I see it. So you have a Heatran at 20%, 25% against an Alomomola. There are a few ways this can play out. One, you click Lava Plume, the Alomomola clicks Scald, it does what, 18%, I believe, something like that. Okay, then your Heatran is way too low to even do much, because you will be left at 25 minus 18, so 7% plus lefties, let's say 12%. And then you have to protect, and then that's, I mean, it's kind of not the best. But even if you go for that line, like even if that's your thought process, there's also a possibility that's like knockoff Alomomola, which will completely annihilate this Itran, and that will make it pretty much dead. Okay, but I believe that even if that's your thought process and you're like, oh, I was expecting him to protect or toxic and not just Lava Plume the Alomomola again, even if that's what you expect to happen, I believe you should still stay in and Scald. If your opponent protects, that's okay. Nothing has happened. And then you can Scald again the next turn. Your opponent there's no real Scald switching anyway. He's stuck in with Heatran against your Alomomola. And once he protected once, then the next turn is forced to Lava Plume, and then you Scald there, and then the next time again. So this is 3 turns into the future. Then Gary is forced to protect then, after the Lava Plume, after tanking a Scald, and then you can go Gliscor. I don't super condone it either. I would personally just stay in with Alomomla and click Scald until the end of times, but I think if you want to get Gliscor in for free without Toxic Orb activated, you have to be very mindful of forcing a dead turn from your opponent. This one is not a dead turn for your opponent. Why? Because Scald doesn't do enough damage to Itran. If you include Protect, it's basically does 6%. And so Gary, rightfully so, says, okay, I'm just gonna click Lava Plume, because if I burn Yellow Mamola, my game gets way easier. And so he goes for it. And on top of that, the potential toxic Itran idea, which fair enough, but I think Itran versus Alomomola, or rather, if you consider the way Alomomola plays a game, it comes in, stays in for 2-3 turns at most, and then switches out. With that kind of flow, Burn does a lot more damage to Alomomola than Toxic. Or, well, not a lot more. But it does more damage because Alomomola wants to do one thing. Switch in, click Wish, / Protect, switch out. Sometimes throw a Scald out. That's at most 3 turns on the field. And if you're burned, 2 most likely. So, again, Burn is just so much stronger. And so Gary clicked Lava Plume, which is the right play. And Eeveon clicked Gliscor, which was an awful play. And awful plays sometimes get punished. And sure, there is a case to be made that, oh, if it didn't burn, I wouldn't be so upset about this play. Maybe, but this is such an unnecessary risk on turn 3. Beyond the fact that I said that I would have let Gliscor myself and click Protector one, because I know, I understand, it's not easy to get Gliscor in for free sometimes, I guess some teams. This one is one of these teams. It's 50-50, right? Hippodon, Fortress, and maybe Terrakion, they don't really do a lot. They aren't that great into Gliscor, but with this setup, I think you have to click Scald on there. Well, anyway, I'm calling this. This game is over. How do you win with Gliscor against D6? That's not possible, right? Okay. Scald is still strong. Alomomola can still maybe win this game almost by itself, mind you, because Skullburst will kill everything except Itran, but Itran is low because it got struck by a Focus Blast. It is Toxic Spikes Fortress, which makes me believe it's not Toxic Itran, but then what would it be? Who knows? Oh yeah, Toxic Spice plus Rotten Wash, also very unplayable for Eeveon. You just click Wall Switch if you're Gary. No real point in clicking anything else. Gliscor is burned, so it's dead. Okay, Mirror Coat, maybe? Could be insane. And it's not Mirror Coat, it's Light Screen. And now the Atran will just click, oh, it is Toxic. With Toxic Spikes. It makes sense. Toxic Spikes don't really hit the things you want to Toxic with Itran, namely Rotten Wash. So that's fair. And Seaskull did 21%. And just Protect here, probably. There's no heal bell on this team, so yeah, this Gliscor is completely gone. And this 1v1 is exactly why sending Gliscor in and saying, oh, I'm expecting a Protect was not a great idea. Because if it plays out like this, yeah, like, now what? Okay, now Ditto is also poison. I mean, there's not really much to say. Once Gliscor is burned, this game is mega dead. There's nothing to do here. You lose to Itran on the spot, and it's freaking Lava Plume Protect Itran, and you have a Gliscor. And I don't know. It's going to go back to full health by the end of the game, and that's just sad to watch. But unfortunately, it's just how it is. And now we have a Escadrille that subs up without send up. So what are we even trying to accomplish here? You hope it's not Earthquake Fortress. I think that's a very wishful thinking, and indeed it was. Okay, the fun bit, if we can call it that, is that this Tangrowth is a massive threat to this team. Let's see if he clicks the right move. No, it's HP Fire. Yeah, good Terrakion. And good Alomomola. But this feels so like theater, right? Gary can just always go Rotom on the Alomomola and always click Volt Switch. And or click Hydro Pump, sure. And this happens. I think even if you burn Rotom Wash, at this point it's just too hard to win anyway, because Rotom can just pain split on a lot of your stuff. And Gary gets Sand up, which I guess maybe there's a universe where you win with Excadrill from here. You have to get past two things that are faster than you, and you also need to kill two things that can tank hits from you, so this is pretty hard. Oh no. This is a disaster. It's sub-protect Heatran. This game is even more done than previously envisioned. Alright, will we get to see the Gliscor's moveset a little bit at least? Is it rocks? We may never know. I don't really have much to say. I'm just watching Death by a Thousand Cuts. There's no out for this. You need to break the sub and then get a free sub up with Escadrille, and then you need to probably crit the Fortress, maybe flinch the Hippodon, and then you still kind of can lose to Rotom Wash plus Terra plus Latios. Titran has taken, what, like 200 damage so far this game, and is still there. Alright, and our Tyranitar is also poisoned, which, well, was inevitable probably. And here comes Terrakion. Okay, what's our fighting switching now? Alomomola will take what? Oh, it's Scarf Terrakion, it looks like. Either that or like some weird SD set with a berry, but I think it's Scarf. Okay, Gary. I think this is the right play. Crit and burn, no, not even. Alomomola has been dispatched, and you save the Terrakion just in case you need to sacrifice it to break Hexcaril substitute. Here you switch to Hippodon and you won. Okay, probably doesn't matter, but this looks like a bit weird. Oh, Radios. Well, it's Scarf Terra, so this specs Latios, so you attack, or maybe it's Colbur, but oh man. Okay, go Fortress. and it's dead. I mean, not yet, but it will die the next turn and it's slower anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Just Excadrill. You kind of need the health on this guy. I mean, you probably have lost anyway, but still, it could have been played better even after the catastrophe that was turn 3. Okay, so how can Gary lose this game? Because at this point, that's the question, right? He really cannot, because as soon as Fortress dies, you go Heatran and sub up, and then you have won the game, because this is Specs Tangrowth. And you sub here, then you protect just in case it costs up berry. Not that it matters. Yeah, this game over, guaranteed. You protect Tyranitar dies. Ditto doesn't touch the Heatran. Tangrowth dies to Lava Plume, and also after protect poison, and then Excadrill obviously cannot do much about it. Okay, so what did we learn today? That if you risk to win condition turn 3, you probably lose the game a lot of times, a lot more often than than you should. And so don't do that. Just lead Gliscor, man, and click Protector 1. Gliscor is too important this game. And yeah, it's kind of sucks in the sense because if your opponent leads Fortress, which I believe is what happened, then you're giving it a free turn to spike up. I mean, he didn't know it was toxic spikes. Understandable. But still, I'd rather give up that one turn than give up my entire Gliscor because it's kind of hard to get it in this game. Although a potential way of looking at this was to lead with something that threatens Fortress, like Tangrowth, and then immediately switch Gliscor. I think that was actually the best play for Eeveon. Better than leading Gliscor because this gives you potentially a turn where it gives you a free Gliscor turn and blocks the spikes coming out immediately, though it probably doesn't matter. But imagine if you went Gliscor here after the turn 1, basically. Right, that would be so much better, because now you have a Gliscor poison against the Heatran on the field, and you see no balloon. You can switch out if you're afraid of ice move, but I mean, sure, you can do that 100%. In fact, you probably should, but at least you have a fighting chance. If you go for this path that you went for, you're relying on Lava Plume not burning, which that it's not the best. Let's put it that way. Let's put it mildly. And it's kind of unfortunate because Alomomola was pretty good this game. Alomomola plus Gliscor, I'm not going to say they win, but they get pretty close to winning this game. If you manage to get a burn on Rotten Wash, which shouldn't be that hard with this. And you also have a Specs Tangrowth anyway, just in case, and a Ditto, so you can replicate the Rotten Wash. That's pretty nice. And on top of that, you have Sub Excadrill. I think this matchup was in Eeveon's favor, in fact, the more I look at it. So Gliscor plus Alomomola, kind of impossible for Gary, right? I mean, now that I know the sets, it's kind of maybe a bit of a duh, but come on, man. This was extremely winnable, and then despite everything, it was lost in 3 turns. I don't know what to say. You really need to be more careful around some win conditions. But yeah, that's my that's it really. There's nothing else to do or to say. Better luck next time. Maybe hopefully better plays as well. And see ya.